Knock at the Cabin, English, Knock at the Cabin, is an American film of the psychological horror drama genre with apocalyptic theme, premiered in 2023, made by M. Night Shyamalan. Directed, written, and co-produced, based on the 2018 novel, The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul G. Tremblay. Starring Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, Nikki Amuka, Kristen Chui, Abby Quinn and Rupert Grint. The film follows a family vacationing in a chalet, but the joy is short-lived when they face a big challenge from four strangers, in which they force one of the members' family must sacrifice to save humanity from the apocalypse. Knocking at Chalet had its premiere at Rose Hall, Jazz Street at Lincoln Center on January 30, 2023, and was released by Universal Pictures in the US and Vietnam on February 3 of the same year. After its release, the work received generally critical acclaim and grossed over $54 million from a $20 million production budget. Dave Bautista as Leonard, Jonathan Groff as Eric, Ben Aldridge as Andrew, Nikki Amuka as Sabrina, Kristen Chui as Wen, Abby Quinn as Adrian, Rupert Grint as Jeff Redmond O'Bannon, M. Night Shyamalan as commercial information host. With an unmistakable filmmaking style, although the film quality is not always the best, director M. Night Shyamalan always delivers memorable films. Sometimes the result is a classic, and sometimes, at least, the result is a film full of curious mystery. Knock at the Cabin is a prime example of the former. This apocalyptic psychological thriller may be the Indian director's best work since Split. The Knock at the Wooden House is a simple yet compelling work. Shyamalan directed, wrote and co-produced this film adaptation of Paul G. Tremblay's 2018 novel, The Cabin at the End of the World. The perfect blend of a murder story. The script is both tight and rich, and the solid cast brings one of the most powerful films Night Shyamalan has ever brought to the big screen. There are moments when the audience will feel horror and fear despite the scene just wandering around in the room. The inner struggles and doubts and fate teasing the characters and the audience. Knocking at the Chalet is about Eric, Jonathan, Groff, and Andrew, Ben Aldridge, a couple vacationing in a secluded bungalow with their daughter, Wen, played by Kristen Chui. Everything seems idyllic until, when she meets Leonard, played by Dave Bautista, playing outside, a friendly stranger emerges from the woods and tries to befriend her. Things quickly take a turn for the worse when the Wen family is imprisoned in the cabin. The culprit is none other than Leonard and his accomplices Sabrina, a female cook, Nikki Amuka, nurse Adrian, Abby Quinn, and a newly released delinquent named Redmond, Rupert Grint. They quickly surrounded the wooden house with crude but barbaric weapons. Leonard explains that her family must sacrifice one of them to prevent the apocalypse. If they don't choose, the world will end. It was a crazy and unimaginable predicament. What happens next in Knocking at the Chalet is a chilling, painful, bloody and relatively perfectly paced consideration with performances that bring and evoke everything from empathy to despair and situations that make even the most rational person question whether the irrational is really the most rational choice. The plot of the movie is not too complicated and most of it has been shown in the trailer before. But what makes the film impressive is the way Shyamalan creates an oppressive atmosphere to force Eric and Andrew to gradually come to the inevitable choice. Bautista gives a great performance, playing a coach full of love and responsibility. Underneath his large intimidating body is a gentle loving heart. He was the soft stillness beneath the whole sacrificial scene that all were not looking forward to. Expressing sympathy and despair, this is a powerful portrayal of the former wrestler, harmoniously blending humanity and someone who can do anything for a cause full of charm. Anyone who has always assumed or doubted Bautista's acting ability will have to change their attitude after seeing what he performs. In The Knock at the Chalet. The actor brings an acting spotlight to the film. The former wrestler brings tenderness and hurtful vulnerability at some moments and powerful outbursts at the opportune times. Along with Amuka, Quinn and Grint's true torment and hopelessness as they plead with strangers to accept this brutal and utopian act. During such times, question marks are gradually created in the audience's mind. That's where Shyamalan plays his magic, and you question everything, including yourself. The audience feels sorry for the two fathers when they are repeatedly asked to make an impossible choice when wondering if the ticking clock counts down their fate and signals the end of their happy days. True or not? It is ironic that the two people chosen to hold the destiny of being those who are implicitly stigmatized by society, rejected and despised, will overcome their narcissism and hatred to save all, including those who have lost their lives. The most hateful to them or not? Shyamalan has an extremely heavy emotional texture overlaid on the film, making a film with a simple premise like knocking at the wooden house chilling. Knock at the Cabin is an adaptation of the 2018 horror novel, The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, who had signed an option with Film Nation Entertainment in late 2017, prior to the book's publication, and had to keep secret that the film was based on one of his novels until July 2022. The Black List and Glad List listed the initial draft by Steve Desmond and Michael Sherman as one of the most popular unproduced screenplays of 2019. While another director was briefly attached, M. Night Shyamalan read the original screenplay and grew interested in producing. Shyamalan later rewrote the script and came on board to direct the project as part of the two-film partnership between Universal Pictures and his production banner Blinding Edge Pictures. Old 2021 was the first film in that deal, with Knock at the Cabin being the second. The first draft was halfway completed by July 2021, and the title was revealed in October. Shyamalan said the script was the fastest he had ever written in his career. Castings were announced from December 2021 to July 2022. They included Dave Bautista, Rupert Grint, Nikki Amukuburd, Ben Aldridge, Jonathan Groff, and Abby Quinn. Shyamalan cited Bautista's performance in Blade Runner 2049, 2017, as the reason he wanted him to star in Knock at the Cabin. Principal photography took place in Burlington County, New Jersey, from April 19 to June 10, 2022, with cinematographers Jaron Blaschke and Lowell A. Meyer. Shyamalan shot the film with lenses from the 1990s to give it an old-school thriller look. During post-production, Herta Steffensdotter composed the score. Shyamalan chose to change the ending of the film and make it different from the book so that it was not as dark and open-ended. The film received an R rating from the Motion Picture Association for violence and language, making it Shyamalan's second film to receive that rating after The Happening, 2008. After 7 consecutive weeks dominating the North American box office, the movie Avatar, The Way of Water, Vietnamese title, Avatar, Flow of Water, has finally stepped back on the board. Ratings. Grossing only $10.8 million, about a 33% drop in revenue from the previous weekend, director James Cameron's sci-fi film had to give way to Knock at the Cabin, Chalet, and 80 for Brady. Avatar, The Way of Water's global gross is currently $2.17 billion, of which $636.4 million is from the North American box office. Meanwhile, data from film statistics company Exhibitor Relations shows that Universal's Knock at the Cabin grossed an estimated $14.20 million over the weekend. This is a pretty good opening achievement for a film with an investment budget of only $20 million. Knock at the Cabin is the latest work by Indian-American horror master M. Night Shyamalan. He made box office phenomena The Sixth Sense and the trio of monsters Eastrail 177, Unbreakable, Split, Glass. Starring Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge, Knock at the Cabin is adapted from the best-selling novel The Cabin at the End of the World by writer Paul Tremblay. The film's story revolves around the restless vacation of a family of 4. They are infiltrated and detained by strangers, and make a terrifying request that this family must kill a member to prevent the apocalypse.